What's up, everybody? This is episode 98 of Hoops Talk with Dave's joint. Shout outs to everybody that's been supporting us thus far. For those who haven't seen any of our podcast episodes, go check us out on YouTube, Facebook, and IGTV. But before we start, shout outs to our guys, the Players Circle, one of the fastest rising interactive apps in the basketball community. If you want to see some great highlights or post some great highlights, go check it out on the App Store, the Players Circle. You won't want to miss it. But without further ado, we have a very special guest tonight. This man played for two great coaches in Steve Smith, our alum from Oak Hill Academy, Dean Smith, a Hall of Fame coach at North Carolina, and played about 12 years in the NBA for the Nuggets, Wizards, Clippers, Trailblazers, Cavs, the Nets when they were in Jersey, and the Charlotte Bobcats. And right now, he's coaching at Combine Academy, one of the best basketball programs out in North Carolina, and also coached for Team Charlotte, the AAU program on the Under Armour Association circuit. But without further ado, I give you all Mr. Jeff McInnis. Jeff, thanks for coming on to share your story, man.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Just happy to be here, man. I hope all is well with you too.
Indeed. So let's get started. My very first question for you is, what's Jeff McInnis's coaching philosophy?
My coaching philosophy is simple. I play hard. I'm a defensive type of coach. I like to pressure the ball, pick up full court, just create problems for offense. And offensively, I just let my players play. I like to spread the court, run pick and roll, shoot a lot of threes, create pace. So, like defensively, as long as they put the effort in on defense, I try not to coach kids on offense. I want them to use their creativity and create and make plays. That's why they have all these trainers and that's why they do all this work so they can be free on offense. But when the time comes, I'll slow it down and I'll call a play if we get chaotic. But for the most part, I like my players to create and play. And I think I give them a lot of freedom. And that's why a lot of the guys like playing for me. So it's give and take. You give me defense and I give you offense. So, and it's worked out for me.
Indeed. So let's move on to where you started. What when did basketball start out for you?
I say probably I played football and basketball always growing up. I mean, being from North Carolina, football was big here too. So I played both sports growing up, but I always wanted to play basketball. It was less physical. I ain't had to get hit as much. I played quarterback, so but always all my life I played growing up. So I think I started taking it serious probably in ninth or 10th grade when kind of AAU started coming about. Some guys was, wanting me to play AAU for them. So I felt like maybe I am good. Then I went to Oak Hill in 11th grade. So it started becoming more of a reality for me when I went to Oak Hill that I could really do this and I can play at the next level. So I started taking it a little bit more serious when I went to Oak Hill. My 10th grade year, I wanted to stay at West Charlotte, but I still wasn't really serious about basketball. I knew I could play, but I didn't take it serious until I went to Oak Hill, and that's when everything started going upward for me.
So talk about growing up in Charlotte, North Carolina. It's a nice little city. Everybody knows it for the Hornets, but it's a nice city with nice transportation. They've done a lot of good things in that area as of late. Talk about Charlotte when you were coming up.
Yeah, Charlotte is it's always been a nice city to live in. It's growing a lot now. I think a lot of people live here. Allen Iverson live here. The baby. I mean, we got a lot of people now that's done put it on the map. Jodeci, Anthony Hamilton. We have a lot of people that live here that's from here. Antoine Jameson from here. I'm from here. Anthony Morrow. So, I mean, we got a lot of people that's playing the NBA. We got a couple young cats now. Tashawn Alexander, Nate Hinton. So, just in the last draft, Devon Dotson. So, I think now Charlotte is on the map. I mean, we got a lot of rappers. We got singers. So, but growing up here, it was an awesome place to live. I mean, we didn't have the Panthers till I was a little older, but the Charlotte Hornets was the deal. So everybody pulled for the Hornets and rooted for the Hornets in the grandmama days with LJ and Larry Johnson and Alonzo Mourning in those days. So I was growing up in that era, just loving the Hornets. So for me, it's been a great. Now the city's done grew so much. We got so many different people here doing their thing in Charlotte. So it's just a blessing, man, to be from here and still see the city rocking. LaMelo Ball got the city rocking now. So we doing big things down here now.
Yeah, man. When that weekend, when I came down to Rock Hill for Battle at the Rock, one of the first things I did when I got off the Sprinter bus downtown was take a picture of the outside of that arena. And everything I seen, like LaMelo and like the other rookies. So I'm thinking that's pretty dope. I hope that someday the CIAA comes back so I can actually shoot some games in there for real.
No doubt, no doubt. Yeah, I missed the CIAA. That was it right there. So our city was turned up for that weekend. I missed that already.
Yeah, it's a shame that they had to move it to Baltimore, which is easier for me to get to than Charlotte, but still, man, like
right.
Baltimore is not. Yeah, it's like it's kind of like the North, but it's not really Southernish. Like anything further below DC is, to me, is the South, basically.
Right. I feel you on that, no doubt.
Yeah, man. So, talk about the basketball culture in Charlotte when you were growing up.
The basketball culture here was a lot different, man. We had two AAU teams, so it was the Charlotte Sonics and the Charlotte Royals. So if you wasn't good enough to play on those two teams, then it was rough. Saying that now it's 2,000 teams in Charlotte playing AAU, so you had to be a little different when I was growing up to play AAU. Everybody just didn't get to play AAU because it wasn't a lot of teams. It was two teams. Like I said, the Sonics and the Royals. If you didn't make those teams, you just couldn't play AAU. You had to work out all summer and get to next year. So that was the difference. I think the fight was different back then opposed to now. If you look at the kids now, it's just kind of like if I don't like my playing time, I go over here. And it's accepted. So that's the difference. I think now the hunger we play with it shows. Like some of the kids are spoiled how they play just because they can pick up and go to another team if something not working out. It ain't about fighting and competing for playing time. They just go to another team, and I think that wasn't even an issue when I grew up. So you had to wait your turn. If you rode the bench, you had to fight for minutes. So that's just how it was when we grew up, opposed to now.
Yeah, man, that's dope. So, were there any special tournaments when you were growing up?
Not like this. Nah, not like we always talk about. We had like the regional tournament, the state tournament, then the nationals. So the nationals where you get to see the teams from New York and see all the teams from everywhere else. But other than that, no. If you go to Nike camp, Adidas camp, that was it for us. Like we didn't have all these tournaments like they have now. Like it's so. I always tell the kids like it's so much easier to get recruited now. Like we just played. Like I said, all the college coaches would come to the nationals when you play AAU for us, or Nike camp or Adidas. That was pretty much it. And 5-star, you know what I'm saying? So that was kind of the route we had to take growing up. But we were different, and the guys that were the guys everybody knew about you. So that was the difference. It wasn't like 90,000 dudes ranking the players. It was kind of like one or two. So they had more credibility. So now you see like 30 different rankings and all the players be different, ranked different in all the categories. But if you go back and look at our days, it was pretty much the same. If somebody ranked the players, it would pretty much be the same all around because it was what it was, and we competed against each other. So that was the difference.
So you started out high school at West Charlotte. Talk about your 2 years at West Charlotte.
Well, I went to West Charlotte 1 year. I went to West Mecklenburg my 9th grade year, and then I had to transfer in. West Charlotte at the time didn't have 9th grade, so I went to my 10th grade year, my sophomore year. I grew up like 1 minute from West Charlotte. That was like my dream school to always go to. I knew I wanted to play for there. All my uncles played there. Everybody I knew from growing up played at West Charlotte, so that was like the school I know I wanted to play for. Junior Burroughs, he played there and went to Oak Hill, but I had to go to West Charlotte. That was just always a school I wanted to go to. I went there in 10th grade. We won the state championship with like 5 sophomores, basically. It was hard for me to leave my boys, but I knew I had to do what was best for me after my sophomore year. But I mean, it was dope playing, in front of all my people. Badersford Road. If you know anything about Charlotte, people know Badersford Road. It's the grime, and I had to get a state championship for my people. I felt like I did some big stuff, like just growing up there, and it's significant to us. It's like the Gauchos and, all the Riverside, New York. It was the same thing for me. It felt like I brought the championship to West Charlotte for my people.
Man, that's dope. So, in high school, you played for the Charlotte Royals?
Sonics.
Oh, talk about the Charlotte Sonics a little bit.
It's the Charlotte Nets now, same organization. So they changed the name to the Nets. But yeah, I grew up playing for the Charlotte Sonics, CJ, Kerry Sargent, some of the coaches that we had. And so it was just we had a lot of dudes that, the Royals was getting all the name dudes in the city, but we had a bunch of hard playing dudes, Thad Bonaparte, Latrim Blanton, Pep Hamilton, he's the offensive coordinator in NFL. David Green, his son is Trey Green, one of the best little players for Lake Norman. So we had a crew of dudes that we knew each other. We grew up together, and we all played together. Mike Cole, Rod Cunningham. We had a lot of dudes, and we just was hard-nosed playing dudes, and they had a lot of hype. And before you know it, we had the hype. So we just grinded, a bunch of dudes from my neighborhood, and that's kind of how I started my AAU team, with just a bunch of no-name dudes that wanted to get better and play. And before you know it, we was a national name. So that's just kind of, I got it out the mud, man. Really, truly, I just grinded for everything we got, like since AAU days, since I was 16, 15 years old. So I think that's why I coach so hard. I do everything with basketball hard, because it really just saved my life and it took me to another level that I probably couldn't have got to with academics or some other stuff. So I go so hard in basketball because it truly saved my life.
Now, Oak Hill, when did that come into play?
After we won the state championship at West Charlotte, I just felt like, they was asking me to come, and I just felt like, what else could I do? I won a state championship here. What it just went 2 state championships or 3, but I wanted to challenge myself and get better, because I knew Oak Hill had the top players in the country, and I didn't know, like, I knew I was good locally, but I didn't know about the national stage, so I wanted to go and challenge myself. So I went on a visit, and I kind of liked it because it secluded me away from the temptation of being in Charlotte, being around my friends, getting into stuff, seeing bullshit, So for me, it was good to go live in those mountains or whatever. But it changed my life again too, because I started getting really good in basketball, because that's all I had to do was concentrate on that. So when I came back that summer, going into my senior year, I got stronger, and my game had went from, like a level to where I was getting recruited by Carolina, NC State, Florida State. So I knew I got better because the recruiting changed drastically. So I just kept grinding, man. So being at Oak Hill, I stayed there 2 years and went to Carolina after that. But I grinded at Oak Hill the whole time I was there. I kind of took advantage of the situation.
So at what point did your recruitment skyrocket?
I think once I got, a lot of teams like Wake Forest, all those dudes had offered me at West Charlotte. But when I went to Oak Hill, that's when the Carolinas and everybody else started coming. Carolina had knew about me because I was a Charlotte boy, but I don't think they got serious. So I went to Oak Hill and was still holding my own against the same dudes, top dudes in the country. And that's when all my recruiting just took off.
So how did it, did Duke ever recruit you?
Nah, never.
Wow.
Yeah.
So before we get to UNC, how did it feel playing with Jerry Stackhouse in high school and college?
Well, we played together in AAU too for the Sonics.
Wow.
So that we always knew each other from then. So we actually met at like a prep stars camp. We was on the same team. I was throwing the mad oops, and I'm like, who is this kid, 14 years old, catching these oops? So I was like, we kind of stayed tight. Asked him who he played AAU for. I was like, you should come play for us. So I was texting him, man, hitting that man up like every day, trying to get him to come. And he finally came, and he played AAU with us for the last 2 years of AAU. So we went to Carolina, Oak Hill, then Carolina, and so we always been tight. We still tight to this day. We talk all the time now. He over at Vanderbilt doing his thing. So that's my guy. We still talk all the time, and we've been tight ever since.
Talk about coach playing for Steve Smith. How was he back then?
He was mean. I just talked to him today, actually, man. I just telling you soft now, coach, man. You don't get on these boys or nothing, man. Like, but back when I played for him, he was young and he was an energetic coach. I knew he'll be like these kids say, the GOAT. I mean, he was young and he knew the game so much when I first got to Oak Hill. He taught me so much about life, and just he always let me be me. That was a big thing I loved about Coach Smith. He let me be me. He ain't try to change who I was, just a little bit of stuff. He knocked my edge off. You don't have to act so hood all the time. Just stuff like that. He kept it real with me. Like, just, you don't have to be so hard all the time. And I think coming from somebody like Coach Smith, who was so different from me, I knew he had my best interest, and I took his words and I ran with him. And it helped me become a better person to be able to go to Carolina, be able to go to the NBA and do some of the stuff I've done and articulate, help other kids, and just be a kind of a mentor to some of the kids. So if it wasn't for him teaching me how to do that and grow up a little faster, then I probably would have been a little lost.
Mm. So your senior year rolls around. What made you decide to go to UNC?
Just Dean Smith, to be honest with you. Dean Smith and what I know it could do for me being at UNC. Hold on, man. Somebody trying to call me. Yeah. So just being at UNC, I knew what Dean Smith had done for other guys and the tradition, being from here. That was a no-brainer. After I talked to him, I went on my visit. I kind of always wanted to go there, but I was an NC State fan growing up. But I knew what Carolina could do for me. I knew my best chance of making it to the NBA and reaching my dreams was to go to Carolina. So I followed them. And it was the best decision of my life, getting to play for, to me, the best coach ever, Dean Smith. So I think I made the best decision. I know I made the best decision. So just being there, playing for, meeting the people I met, Rasheed. We had a lot of guys, Donald Williams, Derek Phelps, Brian Reese. I met a lot of guys there. You know, we still friends with a lot of those guys to this day. So we got some lifetime memories at UNC. So I never regret that decision.
Before we get to UNC, you were fortunate to play in the McDonald's All-American game in 1993. Talk about that experience.
On that experience, it was dope. It was at Memphis. Crazy because I just was there with my team this year,
Mm-hmm.
and we visited the stuff with Martin Luther King and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like 25 years later that I was there playing, and now I'm back with my team visiting. So it was kind of dope little experience, but it was good, man. Being in Memphis at the McDonald's All-American, just playing around the best 20 players in the country in America, and just for me to be recognized as one of those dudes, just a little small dude from Charlotte. That was amazing for me to be there and to compete with those guys and be there with Stack. That was special because me and Stack had, we kind of met since 10th and 9th grade and kind of been through that little journey together. So to be there with one of my boys and brothers, it was kind of dope. So it was fun, man. Randy Livingston, Jock Vaughn. It was a lot of dudes that made it to the NBA was in that game. So we take pride in saying we had the best class.
Wow, you guys had some heavy hitters. Stackhouse was number one, and Randy Livingston was number two. Rasheed Wallace was number three. Jock Vaughn was number four. Charles O'Bannon, 7. Rashard Griffith from Hoop Dreams, he was 8th.
Yeah.
You were ranked number 10 in the nation. D'Antonio Wingfield, 12. Joey Beard, 13. Keith Booth, 15. Kawani Garris from Chicago, 17. Avondre Jones, 16. Scott Pollard, 20. Wow, y'all Capel. He played in that game too, right? Jeff Capel?
Yeah, Jeff Capel, yeah.
Joe Smith, 25th. Wow. Ray Allen was in that class too.
Yeah.
Shout outs to the Oak Hill Academy graduating class of 1993, man.
I appreciate that, bro.
So, moving on to UNC, what was your freshman season like?
My freshman season was it was a lot of learning. It was learning experience. We had Derek Phelps there, who was a senior point guard. So I didn't get the playing time I wanted, but looking back on it, it was all love because he taught me a lot. I learned a lot from Derek, and learning how to fight again and get my chance on the court. But it made me work a lot harder because I didn't get the playing time I wanted. So coming into my sophomore year, I knew I'd be ready because I put the work in. But I got a couple opportunities my freshman year. I had a couple, to let people know I could play. So that was big for me. You sitting on the bench, it's circumstantial, but you just as a player, you don't want people to think, scrub. So you I want to show these people I could play, man. So, every time I got a chance to play, I tried to I tried to do more to show these people I could play. And I think people knew I could play. It was just I was playing behind the seniors. So when I got my chance, I really wanted to hit the ground and run and let them know they ain't gonna miss a step. So that was important to me when Derek left because he was such a good point guard. I wanted to show the people and the fans that they wasn't gonna miss nothing.
So you had a pretty successful 3 years at UNC. Second round freshman year, Final Four as a sophomore, and unfortunately second round your junior year. Talk
Right?
about the experience of playing in the Final Four in '95.
It was dope. It was in Seattle. Played in Seattle. We played Arkansas. It was a great game, man. When I look back and talk about this game, it's always crazy. We didn't score for like 13 minutes in the second half. we had like our squad like Rasheed Stackhouse, Donald Williams, Calabria, Shaman Williams, and we didn't score a point for 13 minutes. I don't remember it playing the game, but when we look back on it, it was crazy. We couldn't make a shot for 13 minutes, man. And we ended up losing the game by like 3-2, and Rasheed probably had one of his worst games. He had like 4 points, 4 rebounds. Stat got kneed in the thigh like the second play of the game. He was hobbling around. So it was just bad luck. Like it was one of those things where we felt like if we played them 10 times, we'd beat them 9 out of 10 times, but they beat us that night when it counted. So it was good. And then UCLA went on to win the championship. So we felt like, I just think a lot of us were hurt because we just felt like we were the better team, but they beat us. And hats off to Arkansas, they did beat us, but we felt like we were the better team coming into the game. So, that was the Final Four experience. So it was one and out for me. So it was quick.
So then your junior year, like I said, y'all lost in the second round, but you averaged 16.5 that season. Talk about your final year as a Tar Heel.
Well, we had a lot of young guys. Antoine was a freshman. Vince Carter was a freshman. So I had to do a lot early on until they kind of grew up into their roles. So that was I had to change my role to score a little bit more than I did the first 2 years. So I could score from high school. I averaged 25 points before in high school. So I just had to change my game and score a little bit and still lead. That was the main thing. And then when they got their feet under him, I could go back to my role of just running the team, being an assist guy, because Antoine and Vince, they grew up really quick and they kind of took some of the role, and Shaman Williams and Adamoto Akalaja. So we had a nice team. We just didn't have the star power. Like we just lost Rasheed and Stack. So losing those two was like crazy. But we still got in the tournament, still did some good stuff. I never lost to Duke. I was 6-0 against Duke. So we beat Duke twice that year when everybody thought they would beat us. So yeah. For the guys that didn't recruit me, yeah.
Wow. So what was it like when playing in the Dean Dome against Duke and at Cameron Indoor Stadium?
I mean, those games are crazy, man. Like I don't think you can. In our snow, we got like 20,000 going crazy, rocking and rolling. They got like 9,000, but it sounds like 50,000. Like it's loud. They right up on you. They in your face. They know all your personal life. They know everything about you. So it's just,
wow.
it makes you want to play that much harder. So for me, it was actually motivation for me. So I mean, a lot of people say it's nerve wracking, but for me, I like to try to shut them up and, so for us, it was good. We love playing in there, but playing at Carolina against Duke you can play Duke outside right now and it's going to be packed and it's just going to be that vibe, like these kids say. The vibe is you can't even justify the vibe with that game. So I went like 2 years ago and just being in the stands, like I had goosebumps on my arm like I was still playing. So it's something you can, if you've never been to it as a fan of basketball, it's something any fan I suggest try to, if you can get to one of those games, because it's like probably the craziest thing you've ever seen.
Now, talk about, the gear that y'all used to get at UNC. Because I think at that time, y'all were also sponsored by Nike, which then later turned on to Jordan. Like, how was it hooping in Jordan gear back then?
Man, like, I think it's crazy because, like, some of the same shoes they still putting out for all the kids running to the store for. Like, we was getting all that stuff and playing and hooping in it. And, I mean, it was just good. Everybody loved Jordan. I mean, he's a Carolina guy, so now they get crazy stuff. Like we got a little bit of stuff then, but now when I see the stuff they get, man, it's crazy. Like Coach Roy Williams, the drippiest coach out here, he wearing Jordans every night. Now I'm like, man, look at Coach. But yeah, we got a lot of stuff, but I think now it's so much different. Like Jordan is really putting it in for them now in Carolina. So, but he took care of us too when I was there. So the gear always been a plus. Any Nike elite school, they're gonna get a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm. So, what made you decide to leave school early to go into the NBA draft?
I just think I thought I was ready. Physically as a player, I thought I was ready. My family, my granddad was a little sick, so for me, I had to try to create revenue for my family and myself, and I thought I was ready as a player. I thought I could play at the next level. In the summertime, playing in Chapel Hill with all the pros and stuff, I fit right in. So I felt like I was ready. I didn't get drafted first round. I got drafted second round, but once again, for me, it was still what I knew. I still got to fight. If I got drafted first round or second round, I still have to go in here and fight. So the round didn't matter. The fact I got drafted I was grateful, and I knew I was gonna make a team proud when I get in there and work. So that's what I knew. I knew once I get in, I'm in. So that was the key for me. I bet on myself, and I knew I could play at the next level, and it all worked out.
So, how did it feel, that being a part of one of the most legendary draft classes of all time, the 96 NBA draft?
Just felt good. The brotherhood, we call it, like we all was brothers. There was a lot of great talent in there. Most of all the dudes went on and stayed in the league for a long time and did good. So for us, it was we always felt like our class was dope. Like I said, I was supposed to be a first round pick, but the class was so deep and guys were getting pushed back in the draft. I ended up going second round, which was cool. Like I said, dudes were just happy to be drafted. It was so deep of a draft, So um, I was cool with it. We felt like I said, we got Hall of Famers in the draft. AI is a Hall of Famer. So there was a lot of dudes in that draft that's, held their own and put some numbers up. Kobe, I mean, the man. So
Yeah, man. That I think outside of 84 and 2003, that probably may be the best draft class of all time.
yeah, I mean, it's got to
Not
be, like I said, it got to be
no
one
other,
of them. Like,
yeah, no other draft class can compare. None.
right.
So you wound up going to playing for the Nuggets. Like how many
Right.
games did you play with them?
I didn't play a lot of games with the Nuggets, man. That's when they changed. Bernie Bickerstaff got fired as the coach. And then we got forgot his name. Oh, Malone, whatever his name, came in and he
Gordon
coached us.
Malone.
But yeah. He took over, and I guess we didn't see eye to eye, so I ain't really stay there long, man. My bad. Hold on, man.
No, you good.
But yeah, I had to I didn't work out with Gordon Malone or whatever how it went, but so they waived me, and that's when I went over to Greece. I played in Greece for like 2 or 3 months, came back, went to the CBA, and that's when I caught on with the Clippers. And ever since then, it was just kind of stayed in the league. I had to keep showing and grinding, but as long as I was in, man. I just wanted to stay in and show I could play. I knew all the stuff that was going on outside the court was preventing me from being on the court. So I had to change some stuff in my life, my attitude.
Mm-hmm.
I think having to prove myself so much gave me an attitude sometimes like that wasn't really who I was, but it made me that way because I keep having to prove myself and prove myself and prove myself every time it's time to pay me. You know what I'm saying? So I think that got frustrating, but I had to do what I had to do to get in the league. And if it was changing some things about me, I had to just change it.
Talk about the Greece experience, man. Like, how was it overseas?
It was crazy, man. Greece is nice, man. I had Byron Dinkins, one of the guys that grew up in Charlotte, I always looked up to. He was playing over there, so it made it a little bit easier for me. But it was crazy, man. The basketball over there, they really get into it. They really love it. Um, they got money over there. They got pro basketball over there. It's great. I thought it was a dope experience, man. It was crazy. I like Greece. They got a lot of beaches. So and they take the basketball serious. The fans come to the games. They go crazy. They know who you are. So for me, it was good. I love Greece.
Mm-hmm. And then you also played in the CBA with 2 stints with the Quad City Thunder. Like, talk about the minor league life.
You gonna ride that bus? You want to stay at little rinky-dink hotels, nothing like the NBA hotels. But it built character. I think the town you stay in, you have a small apartment, you might share it with somebody, or you might have a hotel room. It just depends on the city you played in. I played in Quad City. Fortunately, they had a little bit of money with the organization, so we lived okay. It got rough sometimes. It snowed a lot there, but it just built character for what you was trying to do. Everybody knew what we were there for. We were trying to get to the NBA, so I think you can accept riding the bus 5 or 6 hours to get what you want. Some dudes couldn't take it, left and quit, but I knew I had to grind. I couldn't go back to Charlotte. I had to go to the NBA. So for me, whether riding the bus 12 hours, 13 hours, I had to do what I had to do. But it was rough at times.
Yeah. So then you wound up going to play for the Wizards, and then you went to the Clippers. Like, how was like that breakthrough? Playing for the Clippers in LA.
For me, it was good. That's when the Clippers were the laughing stock of the basketball then. So it wasn't really cool to play for the Clippers then. So when I went there, it was rough. We win a game, it'd be like the championship. So like that was that time. So I think that year I got there, we were still kind of scratching service, and then Lamar Odom got drafted the next year. So then we started making some noise. Then Elton Brand signed. Then Darius Miles and Quentin Richardson came, and Corey Maggette. So then we had a young nucleus that was kind of like pushing and playing. I think probably the most disappointing thing in my career was probably that team breaking up. Because as soon as we started scratching the surface and getting some players and started doing something, they broke our whole team up. So I just know. I just always think what we could have been with that team. We had Elton Brand, Lamar Odom, like I said, the names I just named, and Keon Doolin. We had some nice young talent too. So we had a good team, man. And I just wish we could have grew a little bit together, played a little bit, and see what we could have been.
Yeah, man. It's a shame, that they broke y'all up, and then y'all had to deal with Donald Sterling as an owner. I don't know how you did it, man.
We ain't had to deal with them too much. So like all that stuff that we found out, it was all new to us too. But you ain't have to deal with them that much. We saw him at games. We might have saw him a little bit, but as long as he was signing that check, I ain't really have to see him. But at the end of the day, it's sad, man. But that he was like that. But we really didn't have a lot of dealings with him like that to know he was like that. So for me personally, I didn't. So when I found out, I wasn't shocked, but I didn't see it when I was there. So I will say that.
So you wound up playing for the Trailblazers after Portland. How was that experience? You got to play with Rasheed again.
Yeah, it was great, man. Zebo, Zach Randolph, Quentin Richardson. I mean, no. Quintel Woods. We had Rasheed. We had Damon Stoudemire, Pippen, Dale Davis. Man, that was probably one of the funnest teams to play on, as far as just personality, fun dudes, having a good time and playing some good ball. So Maurice Cheeks was our coach. I loved it in Portland, man. Like I said, we had some good teams, good times, and practices were like wars because you had so many good players on that team. So I love my time in Portland. I grew a little bit in Portland as a pro too. Scottie Pippen taught me a lot of things. Damon Stoudemire, so Derek Anderson. There was a lot of guys there. Ruben Patterson. Every team I played on, I try to take something and learn from those guys because I looked up to all those guys growing up. I knew who Derek Anderson was because we played together in high school at All-American camps and stuff like that. So to be in the NBA with those guys, it was just kind of like I always knew dudes. So, but it was fun. That was a great team to play on.
Oh yeah, but one last question about the Clippers. So was it true that y'all had to practice at LA Southwest College?
Yeah. in the hood too, bro. Like, yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah, man, we practiced at LA Southwest College. Legendary, yeah. Shout out to LA Southwest College. But yeah, that spot was dope, man. We didn't even care. Like that's how it was. Like we never complained. We just went there, we worked, we did our thing and got out of there. But yeah, that's where we practiced at. Now I tell them like this fancy facility y'all got, we don't know nothing about that.
Wow. So then, you actually have some good numbers with the Clippers too. Your highest average was 14.6.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah, I played. I mean, I like I said, I did my thing in LA. I loved LA. I just was hooping, man. Alvin Gentry, he let us play, show what we could do and go out there and play. And we were, like I said, we were a young team. We was up and down. Nobody cared who scored. Nobody cared who got the credit. We just played and had fun. And I just wish everybody had started maturing and coming to their own, then they broke it up. Like I said, I wish we could have grew together a little bit. Like, I think if you saw a little clip, Paul George was talking about that was one of his best teams to watch as when he was growing up, that Clipper team. He brought all our names up. So I think people seen it too, and some people were disappointed that they didn't get a chance to see that team kind of grow and develop.
So you did get to play with the Cavs for 2 seasons, and in one of those seasons, you had LeBron James as a rookie. Talk about that time.
The first time I ever played with him, I knew he was different. Like, I was like, this kid ain't no high school kid, man. This kid did not just come from high school. Like, so I was just wild because I was on Portland. We played him in Cleveland. No, we played him in Portland, and then I got traded like 2 weeks later. So I had seen him play. We played against him, and then I got traded 2 weeks later. But the day we played him, he had like 32. So we were all in Portland talking about him, and then I got traded. So I got there with him, and he wasn't playing the first 2 games that I got there. So we played, and I wanted to show him that I could play. So he was sitting out hurt. So I think we played like AI the first game, and I was like, damn, we played hours in the first game, like wow. So, but I did my thing. I probably had like 18 and 10, and we ended up winning the game. And I remember after he was like, man, I can't wait to get back to play with you. You pass that ball. So that meant a lot to me because it's LeBron James, the king, So for him to be ready to come back to play with me, it made me feel good. And I thought we had a great chemistry playing together. He was just special, man. Like, his work ethic, the way he lift weights and the way he played and practiced and worked. I was like, this dude, this good, and he working this hard. I got to step my shit up. So just being around him, he made me work hard and made me better.
Right. So goes after you had your stint with the Nets, you finished out your career in Charlotte. Like, how did it feel retiring, playing your last 2 seasons at home?
Man, it felt good, man, just to be around my family and I could just live. It was just crazy just being in the city and you chilling in your neighborhood you grew up in, and then you drive into an NBA game and you actually playing in that game. It was surreal at times. I could eat at the same restaurant. I could go by my mom's crib. It was crazy. Like, after shooting around, I could have lunch with my friends. It was just different. The ticket problems, every game about the tickets was crazy, but after I got that established, it was good, man, playing at home. No pressure because I was probably older, but I think if I was a younger player, it'd been a little harder, a little more pressure because you want to show people that you're doing the right thing or they doing the right thing, and I think sometimes you can put more pressure on yourself to try to do it. But I just went out every night and played and had fun when I came to Charlotte, and it was the best 2 years of my life, man. I wish I could have played a little longer. I got plantar fasciitis, and it kind of slowed me down a little bit at the end when I got like 35, 34. So for me, I did what I needed to do, man. Took care of my money, my finances, and now I'm coaching and just living my life, bro, chilling, trying to help kids do the same thing I did.
So how, talk about retirement. Like, how was that, like, the first couple of years?
I mean, you still think you can play and you want to play. So I think you kind of go through, am I really done? And when you see games, you kind of ready to play, you want to play. But I think for me, I had a plan. I always wanted to be a coach. So I started my Team Charlotte AAU team. And it kind of kept my mind off of actually playing. I would still always play with those guys and stay in shape. Then I just started taking basketball to stay in shape, not no more to play. Then I kind of had a little itch probably 2 years after that. The Dallas Mavericks asked me to come to a mini camp. I went to a mini camp and I did my thing in the camp, and I think they were going to sign me, but then they drafted the Beauvoir kid from France, and he did really good, and they ended up signing him. So after that, I was done. I was like, I ain't gonna never try again after that point. So I just started my AAU program, and I've been into this the last 13 years, man, just grinding with this, man. So for me, I'm cool. I didn't really get basketball depressed like some of my friends we talk about the basketball depression when you don't play no more. So for me, I've been cool because I've been coaching ever since I stopped playing.
So talk about Team Charlotte, the AAU program. Like, you've been doing your thing with that for 13 years. So talk about, starting the program and what it's become since its inception.
Yeah, well, I just started out. I was training kids, helping kids get better, and someone was like, "Coach, you should start an AAU team." And I was like, "No, I don't really want to do that. I don't have time for that." So then a couple more kids were saying it to me, and I was training them. So I just started one team, having those guys, and we were getting beat early, getting smacked. So then we added a couple more teams. Then it just grew as the time went. Then we kind of beat some name teams and got a sponsorship from Under Armour. And then it just kind of grew from there. We got a couple guys that was really good come over and play with us. And we actually groomed some guys like Tyshawn Alexander, Devon Dotson. Those guys grew in our program. Rajon Tucker, those guys grew up in our program. And they now like play in the NBA. So we have hit the ground with some guys that started in our program who really didn't even have D1 scholarships at the time. So we've laid the foundation how to build players up, get them right, get them in college, and then the rest is on them. Just take what we're trying to teach you, because we try to teach basketball the right way. And obviously the formula has been working somewhat. Like I said, you don't get every kid, you don't touch every kid, but if you touch one or two or three on every team, then you're doing your job as a coach. Because how this is, kids gonna make their own decisions, they're gonna create their own path. But for the most part, if you touch a couple that trust you and listen to you, then I think we can make a difference as coaches, for me in my program.
Mm-hmm. How is it, dealing with Under Armour? You know what I'm saying? Like, talk about the relationship with UA.
It's been really good, man. They've been really solid for me. As I wear this New Balance shirt, like that's my high school. We wear New Balance, but yeah, it's been really solid for me, man. They've been taking care of us. The main thing they do, they provide a platform for these kids to go to college, and as long as we got gear and travel to do that. And I just don't try to lose concept. Like I tell these kids, they complain about shoes and bags, and the whole idea is to go to college, man. Like nobody gonna know who won the UAA Championship. You want to win, you want to do all this, but the whole idea is to go to college. You want to play yourself into being seen by these coaches to go to college. And I try not to get lost in the concept of everything, but I want to win every time I go play. I want to win. But if we don't, I'm okay. If my kids play the right way, and college is calling my phone to get those kids. That's the end goal for me. You know what I'm saying? Like we can win the championship or we can't win the championship. I want to, I'm preparing to win it. But if we don't, all is not lost with us, because I want these kids to understand sometimes you got to lose to win. So we don't win every time, and that's cool. So as long as we learn it from the losing and taking it, and we ain't becoming no losers, we understand the end goal is winning is going to college for free in my program. That's how we look at it. And if you're good enough to go to the NBA, go. But if you're good enough to make money doing it, but get that degree so you can live your life comfortable. Because like I tell them, you see the world nowadays, man, it's a lot going on. So if you can go to college for free and get a free education and it can set your life up, then why not? So, and we have a lot of parents in our program who kids have come through that still help out because it's been so good to their kids. You understand what I'm saying? So
Absolutely.
they still helping, and coach, you need us for this, for that. So I have 3 or 4 women I can call I need you to talk to this kid and help him set his applications up, get his stuff ready for college, and they do it because we help them so much. So yeah, it's just like that, man. I just try to keep everybody involved and keep a good team of people around me that can help.
Shout outs to Team Charlotte. And I guess a couple years ago, y'all won the UAA Championship. Talk about that feeling.
Oh, it was awesome, man. Because nobody gave us a chance. We was playing Thon Maker in Canada Elite, so nobody kind of gave us a chance. And I stayed up all night game planning, man, and I was like, we're gonna win this game. So I just kind of put it in my kids that we could win. Nobody thought we could but us. And I think when we came out, we were so aggressive and we were so arrogant, and they didn't expect us to be like that. So we just hit them in the mouth, man, and we kind of beat them by like 12. It was I think we shocked everybody in Atlanta that day, but I knew we could do it. So I think that put us on the map too again when we won that. So it was big, man. It was a big moment for our program.
Now, let's talk about the main reason why you gaining headlines these days. Combine Academy. How did that come about?
Um, they just was contacting me about had a new campus and they wanted me to see the campus. So I finally got a chance to go check the campus out, and I was like, wow, this is a gold mine if it's done right. And I wanted to coach in like high school environment, but not so much a controlled environment where I got all these rules and all that stuff. But I just wanted to coach basketball without teaching school and all that stuff. So this was the perfect opportunity for me. It's about 35 minutes from Charlotte, right outside in Lincolnton, North Carolina. So they have a campus. We got dorms for our kids. And they just was talking to me, Jonah Bays and Trevor Booker, who's a former NBA player. I think with Trevor, it gained a lot of traction because Trevor's a part of the ownership team. So knowing Trevor and playing against Trevor, it kind of gave me that blanket, that comfort. Matt Williams, a guy who I know, he kind of would always call me a lot, trying to get me to come over there. And I wasn't ready the times he was calling, but I thought at the time they got me at the right time. I was ready to start coaching in high school, and it just came about. And I think I got there. I probably had a month to put my team together. We just scrapped the team together best we could. My first game was Oak Hill Academy. We beat them. And I think since that, we've been on the map, to be honest with you. There's really no rocket scientist to it. We beat Oak Hill, and now everybody knew who Combine Academy was. And then when people started hearing that I was the coach, it kind of, gave us some juice too. But I just tell the kids, you just got to go play, and everything else, we really don't hear the noise outside. I just keep my kids humble to play. Like, the rankings are the rankings. Whatever you are. It's just go play, because it don't really matter. And I think we've done a good job of keeping our kids humble to that. Like, we just go play. Win or lose, we just gonna go play. We ain't scared to play nobody wherever. We just gonna play. And I think that's a testament how the way we train our kids up and build them up.
Now, I got to check y'all out last month at the Battle of the Rock. You guys did some big things in that tournament. You guys got a couple of victories against Blythewood, and I think it was, what was the other team you guys were playing? Dorman
was it? Yeah.
And then you guys, I think who else have you guys played so far?
Played at Winston-Salem Christian, Word of God. We played Moravian, Prep. It's hard to get games, man. A lot of teams. It's funny down here. It's just the game's kind of funny, man. It is what it is. But I played. We play. Liberty Heights. We were supposed to play Liberty Heights, but I think something happened with that. My guy Mike. Shout out to Mike. Shout out to Antonio Lowe, man. They're my guys right there. So I want to give them some love, man. We're Salem Christian and Liberty Heights. They're my guys right there. So I want to show them some love.
Yeah, man. So you guys, what's the record now?
We 15-3. We lost the other night to Word of God at their place. We beat them at our place and lost to them at their place. So we grinding. We got quality education coming up on Monday. We roll, man. I play. You know what I'm saying? Like, we play games here. We ain't ducking no ball. We playing. So a lot of these teams sitting around, but we playing. So yeah, we go to quality on Monday. They got a good team. We're gonna be tested over there. So I just think that's what it's about for these kids. To get tested, go play on the road, go see what it's like. When you go to college, when you have a road game, it's easy. So just preparation for everything we do is for the future, man. And I tell these kids, it's a development, is for the future. So everything we're doing now is to learn for when you go to college.
And you have a special young point guard in Rob Dillingham, 10th grader. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think he's probably a young Kenny Anderson.
Man, yeah. Cool. That's a high praise. He wouldn't even know how high that praise was. But yeah, man, he different, man. He can score that ball, I tell you that, man. He's a scorer. He recently been showing people he can pass the ball. But he's the real deal, man. We love Rob. He's a humble kid. Put the ball in the basket, dime it. And he loves basketball. A lot of these kids just love to play it, but he loves the game of basketball. He loves it. So it makes it special to coach a kid who really loves doing what he's doing. And for me as the coach, I love trying to develop. And he's a point guard, so I love it. I love coaching.
So talk about some of the other standouts on the squad.
We got Chris Robinson. He's a knockdown shooter. He's going to Catawba University. We have AJ Smith. He's a 2022 kid. He's a Bulldog, 6'5", get to the basket, can really shoot it too. He's an offensive machine. Marion Broderick, number 11, 6'9" kid, blocks every shot that goes up. Energy, pure energy, gets on the front of the press, can run and jump. Patrick Wesley, the big 7-foot kid we got, he gets in there, he bangs, he's getting better and better and better. His feet are getting better. So when his feet catch up with his game, he's going to be a superstar. I think next year, when he really gets it, he's going to be a superstar. So I'm just waiting on him to come around. Then we got Antonio Hamlin from Baltimore, point guard. He's coming into his own. Then we just picked up Kennard Davis. He'll be back. He was with us last year. He's a little flashy little point guard. So we got a good team, man. Like I said, Mike Dudley, 6'5", he's going to college at Charleston. He's a 2 guard for us. So we got a lot of pieces. Ja'Cory Orange, he's the anchor of that defense. Makai Grant, 2023, he's one of the best players in that division. He's 6'9". So we got a lot of talent, like I said, and we young. We just got to mash it all together. And we're going to be here for a minute, man. So they better beat us up now.
Yeah. And honestly, I'm not going to lie. I think if Geico Nationals gets to happen this year, they got to put you down. They got to put down Combine because you guys have definitely arrived.
No, I appreciate that, man. That's great. I went there one year with Northside Christian. And yeah, definitely, man. I love to go back, man. I think that's what all the teams playing for and want to go there. But if we don't go there this year, our time gonna come, man. I keep grinding, and if it don't, we'll get there one day.
Now let's talk about Combine Academy as far as the academic side. Like, talk about the actual school.
We have a whole school. We have a setup. We have 4 classrooms. We have teachers. We have everything. We have a head of school. So it's ran like a regular school. So they have blocks. They go to school on blocks. So they go on block periods. They just don't have to take a lot of like home economics and all that. We straight to the point. We just take the core classes that you need to go to college. And we have some kids that's already above that. So like Patrick Wester, the big 7-foot kid, and Chris Robinson, they taking classes with Gaston Community College. So they can be ready for college when they get there. Those are less classes they have to take because they already kind of pretty much got their high school stuff done. So they take online classes with Gaston College. So we have a lot of little perks at our school that can help you when you get to college. That'll be less off your load because you could take some of the stuff now. You don't have to waste time taking classes that you don't need.
Wow,
so
that's dope.
Yeah, man. So we got a nice little setup over here.
We need some New York kids down at Combine.
Man, well, plug me in, baby.
We need some more New York kids down there, man. Combine Academy. It's a pretty dope experience.
Yeah, man. So I'll be waiting on you to send me some, man.
So this is one of my favorite questions of the show before I lead up to the final question. If you could go back in a time machine to 1991, what would you tell Jeff at 16, 17 years old as he's winning a state championship at West Charlotte, but also maturing into a more, mature player and going off to Oak Hill Academy?
I would tell him, don't change a lot, but just humble yourself a little bit, because I felt like, I just think like being an underdog for me all my life, I had to have an extra chip on my shoulder. And I think, like I told you when Coach Smith told me, you don't have to be hard all the time. And it was a time for that. And as a young age, immature, you don't know when not to be like that. That's the biggest thing. I would have just told myself, humble myself a little bit to where you don't have to prove yourself to the world all the time. But at the time, I felt like I did. So that's what I would tell myself. Like, just be more humble and listen before you talk, and just kind of be a little more calmer. So like the person I am now. So I wish at 16 I could have understood being like that.
Final question. What's next in the future for Jeff McInnis and the Combine Academy GOATs?
Like I said, man, just keep, like I said, me developing kids. While I'm at Combine, developing kids, putting them in college. Hopefully one day can play in Geico if that's the end goal. But just keep doing this, man, and keep building this program up to where it is talked about like these top programs. When you talk about these top programs, you mentioned Combine in it. That's the goal right now. Maybe one day I go to college. Maybe one day I coach in the NBA. But right now, God got me right here, man. It's my calling right here to be here and doing it and putting these kids that like I grew up around. Like I'm doing this where I'm from. So I could be working somewhere else but I'm doing this where I'm from. So that's the joy. I can help kids in my own community. So that's good. But I will take some New York kids, man. So you bring them on and you send them. So, but like I love doing this right here. But like I said, man, I just want to help kids. So that's where I want to be, man.
Indeed. Jeff, thank you for coming on to share your
No doubt.
testimony. And I wish you and Combine nothing but the best moving forward. And Team
Man, I
Charlotte
appreciate you.
also.
Man, I appreciate you, man. Appreciate you having me on, man.
Indeed. Well, everybody, this is episode 98 of Hoops Talk with Dave's Joint. Shout outs to my guy Jeff McInnis for coming on to share his story. For those from Charlotte, those from Combine Academy and everybody else, go check this out on YouTube, Facebook, and IGTV. Stay safe, stay blessed. Peace.